Good afternoon on what is a mild, bright, but changeable day. It is Tuesday, the 21st of October, and I'm in the reading up with a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to continue unboxing. And what I've got here is a copy of the Neutronium Alchemist by Peter F. Hamilton. This, I'm presuming, is going to be the first edition of this book, published 1997. It's part of the Night's Dawn trilogy of transhuman space opera. So, the second volume in the Night's Dawn trilogy. Not every fallen angel comes from heaven. The ancient menace has finally escaped from Lalonde, shattering the Confederation's peaceful existence. Those who succumb to it have acquired godlike powers, but now follow afar from divine gospel as they advance inexorably from world to world. On planets and asteroids, individuals battle for survival against the strange and brutal forces leashed upon the universe. Governments teeter on the brink of anarchy. The Confederation Navy is dangerously overstretched, and a dark messiah prepares to invoke his own version of the final night. In such desperate times, the last thing the galaxy needs is a new and terrifyingly powerful weapon. Yet Dr. Alchemist is determined to retrieve the Alchemist so she can complete her 30-year-old vendetta to slay a star, which means Joshua Calvert has to find Dr. Mizu and bring her back before the Alchemist can be activated. But he's not alone in the chase, and there are people on both sides with their own ideas about how to use the ultimate doomsday weapon. Now, I'm really quite lucky to find this because twice a year I go to a little convention in Wolverton, which is just on the edge of Milton Keynes, and it is it's Concrete Cow. It takes place in the community centre there. Now, it's a combined community centre. It was the sort of community centre where that's attached to a supermarket. So the supermarket comes in, I want to build a supermarket, and the council says, yes, you can, but you also need to build these other things, and that includes basically a modern community centre and also a row of shops, and one of those is a very good second-hand bookstore. I've spent quite a lot of money there, but it's cheap. It's got a reasonable amount of choice, and I picked this up for £3. Now, the thing is, I haven't actually read this. I've only read the first book back when it came out, and that was another find, and is not as good a condition. That's the reality dysfunction, so really pleased to find this. If I can find time, I'm going to sit down and read this. It's more or less 1,000 pages, and I'm not used to reading books that are 1,000 pages long. Not used to reading role-playing games that are 1,000 pages long. There are very few of those, but I've read certainly sort of like ones that are typically anywhere between 400 and 800 pages long. So honestly, not very much to look at, but you would be. I've always wanted to see this adapted to a role-playing setting. I think there's an absolute possibility of doing that. I mean, the obvious tools with it to do that is actually GURPS. I know some people don't like GURPS, but it's got the level of detail with which you could use the hero system with which you could model all of the technical elements of the science fiction setting, that essentially the transhuman setting that is the Confederacy, the setting sort of like 900 years into the future. It's the sort of book that has at the very end, it's got a timeline, a cast of characters, and that also includes lists of planets and asteroids, and so on. And there is also a Confederate source book as well for it, basically, that I've got somewhere as well that would have been useful to that end. Now, the story itself is the threat is basically from beyond the grave, in a way that you wouldn't normally expect to see in a science fiction novel. And it's basically some kind of threat, a threat that all civilizations at some point either face and either come to deal with or fall because of it. And humanity is kind of split between two factions that basically that vary depending upon how much they embrace technologies that expand or extend the human lifespan. The Alchemists, essentially, if I recall this right, generally don't. Whereas the Edenists actually embrace it to the point where they have a degree of limited telepathy and the ability to upload their minds pre-death into their habitats as a collective. And they also basically are the pilots are linked to their void ship vessels, which are kind of grown from sort of seeds. So the great thing about this series is if you read it, I mean, there's this series and there's the collection of short stories. It's got a fantastic sense of world building and setting to it, and that's why it's worth tracking down and reading. And it's absolutely fantastic space opera. Anyway, here's me. So yes, that's the Neutronium Alchemist. If you've enjoyed this unboxing, the Nook, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've only got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate it. You take the time to post response and feedback. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box, typically containing a role-playing game, role-playing supplement, or role-playing scenario, or in this case, the second part of the Night's Dawn trilogy by Peter F. Hamilton, which I'll unbox and chat about to the best of my abilities for 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing. Look, I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.